In our universe, all things are driven by energy. Energy powers our sun, our environment, our society, even our bodies. Energy is life. New and profound advances in science and engineering are allowing us to harness this energy abundance in marvelous new ways. To create clean, affordable, and reliable energy for all Californians. The SoCalGas Research, Development, and Demonstration Program has enlisted an incredible team of experts in science, engineering, industrial technology, and environmental policy to identify, build, and implement these transformational technologies throughout society. Collaborating with the world's top institutions, we have deployed over $73 million on hundreds of groundbreaking projects over the past 5 years. Hyatt Hydrogen, which could enable transporting hydrogen through existing infrastructure to power fuel cell vehicles and facilities. Doosan Mobility Innovations hydrogen drones that have 4 times the flight capacity of lithium-ion powered alternatives. And hydrogen-powered yard trucks that can move massive shipping loads for 20 hours per day with 0 emissions. These revolutionary projects are saving energy, reducing emissions, and improving air quality, as well as increasing energy safety, reliability, and affordability for all. At SoCalGas RD&D, we believe in clean energy abundance, so we are sharing this pivotal research in order to deploy these innovative technologies across the world. Because energy is life. And we believe a clean energy future will bring a better future to everyone. SoCalGas, Research, Development, and Demonstration. Learn more at www.socalgas.com/RDD.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the first SoCalGas RD&D Research Webinar of 2025. My name is Matt Gregori. I'm a Technology Development Manager in the Research, Development, and Demonstration, or RD&D group at SoCalGas. And I'm coming to you today live from Anaheim, California. For today's webinar, we will have an opportunity to learn about the gas research and development funding programs that support the advancement of new technologies here in California. Today's webinar will be recorded. You can access today's recording as well as our previous research webinar recordings on the SoCalGas Research, Development, and Demonstration webpage. Let's start with a quick walkthrough of the GoToWebinar controls. On your screen, you should see a small control panel. First, look for a small toolbar labeled Handouts. Click the small arrow next to the word Handout to expand the window. There you should see a copy of today's presentations as well as a copy of SoCalGas's annual report in both English and Spanish. The next toolbar is labeled Questions. Again, click the small arrow next to the word Question to expand. Here you can enter any questions you have during the presentations. We'll review them during the Q&A session after the presentations. I think I speak for all of our presenters today when I say that safety is the top priority of our programs, and taking care of your eyes is an important part of that. Today, I want to share a quick tip to help reduce eye strain, especially for those of us who spend a lot of time in front of screens. It's called the 20-20-20 rule. The 20-20-20 rule is simple. Every 20 minutes, take a 20-second break to look at something 20 feet away. This practice helps relax your eye muscles and reduce fatigue. Here's how you can incorporate it into your day. Number 1, set a timer. Use a timer or an app to remind you to take a break every 20 minutes. Number 2, find a distant object. Look out a window or find an object at least 20 feet away. Number 3, relax and refocus. Take a deep breath, relax your eyes, and focus on the distant object for 20 seconds. Let's all make an effort to follow the 20-20-20 rule and keep our eyes healthy. We're going to mix things up a bit today. For anyone who tunes into our quarterly research webinars on a regular basis, we usually do a deep dive into one of our RD&D projects. But today we're going to do a bit of a speed run through presentations from each of the 4 gas research and development programs in California. Our panelists today are Ariana Shirzai from the California Energy Commission, Jeanette Lindeman from PG&E, Jeff Chase from SoCalGas, and Ariana Frame from Southwest Gas. There's going to be a lot of information coming your way this morning, and we are going to go through all of the presentations before we get to some Q&A time and a panel discussion. So I recommend you submit your questions through the toolbar as we go. That way you won't forget them. During the discussion, we'll try to walk through as many questions submitted by the audience as possible. All right, let's kick this thing off by handing it over to Ariana Shirzai. Take it away, Ariana.
All right, good morning, everyone, and thanks for having me here today to talk about the California Energy Commission's Gas Research and Development Program. My name is Ariana Shirzai, broadcasting from San Diego, and I'm the co-lead of the CEC's 2025-26 Gas R&D budget plan, and our lead, Jill Horing, is also here with us today. For those who aren't as familiar with the California Energy Commission, aka the CEC, we are California's primary energy policy and planning agency. CEC's core responsibilities support its commitment to reducing costs and environmental impacts of energy use while ensuring a safe, resilient, and reliable supply of energy. And illustrated on this slide are some of the CEC's primary activities, including investing in energy innovation, which will be the focus of this presentation. The Gas R&D program was established in 2000 in response to legislation imposing a gas surcharge to fund public interest research and development that benefits natural gas ratepayers. In 2004, a CPUC decision designated CEC to administer the Gas R&D program. Today, the Energy Research and Development Division administers $24 million annually toward R&D initiatives that are guided by statewide goals of supporting the clean energy transition, increasing energy reliability, lowering costs, and increasing safety. The CEC is helping to meet state energy goals by investing in cutting-edge technologies and strategies. We have a broad portfolio of Gas R&D program focus areas, which includes advancing building decarbonization to improve efficiency, affordability, health and comfort of our homes and businesses, gas system decarbonization to study methane emissions, gas infrastructure decommissioning, and renewable hydrogen and biomethane, industrial and agricultural innovation, such as developing and scaling technology solutions that reduce fossil gas use, cut emissions, and lower waste, efficiency and clean operation in the transportation sector, resiliency and safety of the gas system, and looking at public health, climate, and environmental impacts, and entrepreneurial efforts such as supporting early stage research and prototype development. All projects funded by the CEC's Gas R&D program are designed to deliver benefits that accrue to gas ratepayers. And since 2004, the CEC has invested over $341 million across 311 gas research, development, and demonstration projects. Of those 311 efforts, 42 funding recipients alone have attracted $6.3 billion in follow-on funding from other funding partners after being selected for a Gas R&D program award, which is a 21-fold amplification of the initial public investment. Excluding projects involving combustion, an estimated 48% of demonstration funding has been invested in projects located in either a disadvantaged community or a low-income community, or both, since fiscal year 2016. So this graphic illustrates the various phases of our annual budget planning cycle. We begin with scoping initiatives that, 1, address R&D gaps not adequately met by competitive and regulated entities, 2, are designed to deliver ratepayer benefits, and 3, are informed by ongoing interagency and public engagement. Once initiatives have been drafted, we submit our proposed annual budget plan to the CPUC for approval. After the final plan is approved, we move into the solicitation development phase, which typically includes at least one public scoping workshop in which experts and stakeholders can provide input to help shape our grant funding opportunities for high impact. And we then release competitive grant funding opportunities to implement the initiatives. Awards are made after a very thorough evaluation of applications. Grant management involves tracking progress and ensuring these projects are being managed efficiently and responsibly. Annual reports document the cumulative impacts of the gas R&D program and highlight high impact projects that have been funded over the past year. And engagement and equity is embedded throughout this process. Specifically, before we submit our budget plan, we share our initiative concepts with the investor-owned utilities, including my colleagues who are here today, as well as with the CPUC, the CEC-CPUC Disadvantaged Communities Advisory Group, or DACAG, and environmental justice organizations. We also seek public input on draft initiatives, hosting an annual public workshop that any interested individual can participate in. This feedback informs the annual budget plan we submit to CPUC, as well as our scoping of solicitation concepts. Our work is also informed by guidance from several equity-centered frameworks. Applications are reviewed and scored by a panel of internal and external technical experts, and in some cases, applications that demonstrate a commitment to benefiting justice communities in California Native American tribes are provided preference points, and some resulting agreements are required to include a trusted community-based organization as a project partner to plan and conduct proper community engagement. So I'll be highlighting two projects today, one in which we directly coordinated with a fellow gas R&D administrator, and another that showcases a research focus area that complements the IOU's portfolios. So the first project was led by Paulson Inc. and conducted in partnership with PG&E. Paulson had developed a fiber optic monitoring system incorporating acoustic and temperature sensors that can be installed in underground gas storage wells. Paulson Inc. partnered with PG&E to demonstrate their technology at the McDonald Island underground gas storage facility near Stockton. And McDonald Island is the 8th largest UGS facility in the US and a major gas reliability resource for Northern California. And the CEC initiated this research effort in response to widespread concern for underground gas storage safety and integrity. Regulations require annual noise and temperature well logging surveys, which are performed at static points in time when the well is not operating. So this project demonstrated that Paulson's technology can enable continuous monitoring of well conditions and collect data without disrupting well operations. Unlike conventional well logging surveys, continuous monitoring can also capture dynamic changes in well conditions, such as when gas begins flowing or when the well's withdrawal or injection rate changes. So this technology can potentially reduce the necessary frequency of more intrusive conventional inspections and mitigate leakage risks. And this technology can be expanded into other energy sectors such as clean hydrogen, carbon sequestration, geothermal, and gas pipelines. And as of August 2024, the fiber optic monitoring system is still fully operational. This project really showcases the partnership between gas R&D administrators, with CEC providing the public interest research funding and PG&E acting as a partner and serving on the technical advisory committee. And Paulson Inc. also published a paper with PG&E detailing this installation, and we have a CEC final report that's pending publication. So building off this successful effort, we've continued to propose gas system safety research in subsequent budget plans. So the second project I want to highlight tested the effectiveness of Title 24 building code compliant kitchen ventilation and removing health damaging air pollutants produced by residential cooking. At the time of the study, Title 24 required new homes to have mechanical ventilation to protect indoor air quality, especially given the increasing air tightness of new homes. Lawrence Berkeley National Lab, the recipient of this grant, set out to quantify the impact of the then current code and potential code changes for the 2022 building energy efficiency standards. The research team's fieldwork revealed that kitchen ventilation that was minimally compliant with California's existing residential building code was inadequate at controlling combustion pollutants from gas burners and particulate matter produced during cooking. Recognizing that improved standards were needed to protect against residential exposures to kitchen-generated air pollution, while also avoiding excessive expense or airflow requirements, the team developed an empirically grounded basis for code based on capture efficiency, and this is the percentage of pollutants that are directly exhausted before circulating in the home. And so results directly informed California's 2022 building energy efficiency standards. Prior versions of Title 24 had left many new California homes in a situation where, despite complying with code, indoor air quality was routinely exceeded health-based standards. So this study helped California formulate science-based kitchen ventilation standards for pollutant removal that were adequate to protect public health, but no stronger than necessary for health protection. Thanks for joining today to learn more about the program. I'm looking forward to the discussion at the end. And also, just for everyone's awareness, we're hosting a virtual workshop tomorrow, February 7th, to gather public feedback on our proposed gas R&D initiative for 2025-26. So you can drop a link in the chat for anyone who is interested. And I will pass it to Jeanette Lindeman from PG&E.
All right, good morning. Thank you, Ariana, for that great presentation. As she mentioned, my name is Jeanette Lindeman. I am the Senior Manager for PG&E's Gas Research, Development, and Demonstration team. I am broadcasting from Danville, California. And today I will share some high-level information of our program and how it fits into PG&E's strategy. PG&E has the honor to serve natural gas and electricity to approximately 16 million Californians in 70,000 square miles. We serve generally or roughly 1 in 20 Americans. To best serve our communities, PG&E established a True North strategy, which is a 10-year enterprise plan focused on rebuilding trust, delivering excellent service, and building a decarbonized, safe, reliable system that supports our climate strategy. Our climate strategy focuses on reaching net zero by 2040, which is 5 years ahead of the state goals, which will allow us to support our communities achieving their goals. Our goal is also that by 2050, we will reach a climate and nature positive energy system that will ultimately help heal the planet. A critical piece of our True North strategy is greening the natural gas supply by moving away from fossil fuel-based methane to cleaner fuels like renewable natural gas, also known as RNG, synthesis gas, also known as syngas, green hydrogen, or emerging clean fuels, which is a large effort considering PG&E's system has approximately 5,600 miles of transmission pipeline, 45,000 miles of distribution main pipeline, 3 storage facilities that serve approximately 4.8 million natural gas meters or connections to homes and businesses. To support this transition, we have the Gas RD&D team comprised of Aaron, who manages our program and finances, David, managing our operations and maintenance portfolio, Monique, managing our emissions reduction portfolio, Stefan, managing our decarbonization portfolio, and I'm the leader that provides program oversight. So we're a small but mighty team with a mission. Essentially for us is to identify the most innovative solutions that are cost effective, with a currently annual budget of approximately $8 million that will support all three portfolios and associated administrative costs that include the CPUC submittals for annual reports summarizing our previous year's accomplishments, hosting a public workshop, and our annual work plan for the upcoming year, similar process to what Ariana mentioned for the CEC. Our research areas, as I mentioned before, or portfolios, were identified in alignment with an operations and engineering leadership and include approximately 32 problem statements that were included in PG&E's R&D strategy report that was shared in June 2023. And the latest version of the program of the strategy is in our November 2024 report that focuses on AI ML, which is, I think, familiar to many for trying to figure out how we can use greatest technologies coming out and figure out how to develop our work plan and build that into it. Part of our process also includes project selection that must identify benefits. The list that you're currently seeing is a list that we had come up with, but the California R&D programs are trying to figure out in a collaborative way to see if we can align in some of those to bring the best benefits and alignment to our communities. Collaborations are a key piece to all the work that we also do. This slide just shares some of the partners, which include educational institutions, natural research labs, and you will also see that we partner up with the CEC and SoCalGas, Southwest Gas, and other collaborators. Our project selection is a very simple process that is still maturing. We get ideas anywhere from our industry stakeholders to internal PG&E team members. We verify that those ideas are in alignment with either the problem statements that have been shared in the strategy reports or within our research themes. We also review the benefits, the technology readiness level, which we're also known as TRL, financial benefits for our customers, and from then we'll decide if a project aligns with all those. We will make sure that we have a very detailed scope of work and assign a project team. If there is potential in the technology that is not quite at a TRL that we're ready to move forward, we may defer it to a future year. Or if a project is actually not fitting any of those levels, we may just remove it from consideration. One of the highlights I have is a project that we collaborated. It was a 3D visualization software project that was mid-level TRL. It allows us to do a control testing, proving the technology that if and when it's commercially available, we'll be able to improve our asset management to help mitigate risk, damage during construction, potentially lowering our cost of data collection and improve our geospatial data. The total cost for this project was approximately $2 million when we have an $8 million budget for our program. If we would have had to do that alone, we wouldn't have been able to afford it. So collaboration is definitely key to be able to make sure that we're able to bring as many projects as possible with as much benefit to our customers. The graphic that you see on the lower left-hand side, it came out of our annual report, which can be found on the website listed at the bottom of our last handout page. And with that, thank you everybody for joining us. I will be turning the presentation over to Jeff Chase.
All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Jeff Chase, and I am a project manager on the SoCalGas RD&D team, and I am broadcasting today from Fullerton, California. And I will be giving you a brief but dense overview of our program today. So for those not familiar with SoCalGas, we are the nation's largest gas utility. We serve over 21 million customers through about 6 million meters, and we operate over 100,000 miles of pipeline infrastructure. And our service territory covers most of the southern half of California. And there's a couple key things to note about our service territory. First is that we're home to the nation's largest port complex. The ports of LA and Long Beach operate right next to each other, and they're each independently ranked at #1 and #3 on that list. And so, as you can imagine, the activities associated with these ports is a major source of emissions within our territory. Which leads to my second point, and that's that the majority of our service territory is actually identified as a non-attainment area for ozone, and most of it is also a non-attainment area for PM 2.5. So needless to say, we're very focused on helping to reduce emissions, both from our own operations as well as those of our customers. The SoCalGas Research, Development, and Demonstration Group is a department within SoCalGas, and we manage a ratepayer-funded program that helps develop new technologies that provide benefits to our customers and really to society as a whole. And we do that by supporting projects and new technologies that increase energy affordability, increase safety and reliability, improve local air quality, and reduce GHG emissions. And within the RD&D team, our mission is to identify transformational energy solutions, build them, and share them with the world. And in order to achieve that mission, we really lean on our 3 key values, which are science, synergy, and equity. And hopefully these values will come through as I go through the rest of these slides. So SoCalGas recently received the approval of our 2024 through 2027 general rate case. And through that, the RD&D program received an annual budget of $15.9 million. And that budget is split across 3 teams that work on new technologies that span the energy supply chain. And so upstream, the decarbonized gas supply team is focused on developing new technologies that produce lower carbon fuels, such as RNG and hydrogen. And then midstream, the gas operations team works on technologies that help us as a company continue to build and maintain the safest gas infrastructure in the country in new, innovative ways. And then downstream, the team that I work with, the Innovative Energy Utilization team, is focused on developing new behind-the-meter technologies, or technologies that traditionally consume natural gas and eventually hydrogen. And then in addition to working on projects across the full energy supply chain, we also work on projects across the technology readiness level spectrum. So we support everything from fundamental lab research all the way up to full-scale pre-commercial technology demonstrations. One of the key things RD&D staff considers when we're evaluating new projects is the likelihood to produce ratepayer benefits. And we're currently considering and tracking the 6 shown here, which I'm not going to go through all of them, but there are a few that I want to highlight. The first of which is improved affordability. So as we continue down this decarbonization pathway, we absolutely have to make sure that our customer and society, especially those with less available resources, can afford this transition. And so that applies both to the new technologies that they may be adopting, as well as the overall cost of energy that they consume and see through their rates. And then, as I mentioned on the first slide, because of those non-attainment zones across our service territory, air quality is a major concern and a big area of focus for us. And although air quality impacts everybody, this is a situation, again, where it really impacts those in ESJ communities who are often located next to busy roadways or industrial areas. And then, of course, GHG emission reductions is incredibly important in order for us to help meet California's climate goals. So ultimately, SoCalGas RD&D is part of a much larger collaboration ecosystem. We work closely with top universities, national labs, public agencies, and research consortia from all over California and across the country. And this is just a small snapshot of some of the folks we work with. It notably does not include all of the startups and major OEMs that we also collaborate with. And the benefit to working with all of these different entities is that it allows us to pool both knowledge and funding resources to really bring impactful projects to life. And so, just one example of how we can really amplify this pooling of resources is through our work with consortiums. So a specific example is a project that we funded through the OTD consortium, where we helped develop an obstacle detection technology for horizontal directional drilling. And we were able to leverage our funding by almost 60x, 60, meaning that for every dollar we spent, an additional almost $60 was provided by other consortium members and federal grant funding, really leveraging the ratepayer funds that we deployed. And so even though we can't always get 60x, maximizing this leverage ratio for our projects in order to provide the best value is something that we consider when we're evaluating new projects. Which leads to the question of, how do we develop or select projects? The SoCalGas RD&D program is kind of unique in that we offer what we're referring to as a concierge style project development. And so what that means is that instead of issuing RFPs for project ideas, our team works directly with the researchers and technology developers to come up with projects that address real-time needs. And so our project managers are regularly attending conferences and maintaining ongoing dialogues with researchers in order to stay up to date with what's going on in the industry and any new technologies that are being developed. And then when opportunities arise that address our identified gaps, we're able to help pull together teams and provide funding relatively quickly. And by addressing the needs in real time, oftentimes we've been able to provide funding early on in a technology's development cycle in order to help de-risk it. And then that technology goes on to receive higher levels of funding from other sources later on. But although our program is really flexible, we do have a very rigorous multi-stage review process, like you've seen on some of the other presentations, that makes sure that all of our new projects help accomplish our mission and provide the best value to ratepayers. So some of the criteria that we look for as we're going through this review process are those 6 ratepayer benefits that I mentioned earlier. And then in addition to that, we make sure that all of our projects align with the goals and identified gaps from our research plan, which we submit annually. And then we also make sure that our projects are continuing to support any changes to California policies and initiatives, such as any of the ongoing CPUC proceedings or executive orders. So if you remember our mission statement from the first slide or second slide, the last part is share them with the world. So sharing the results of our projects is a really important part of what we do. Because by sharing as much as we can, it really helps drive innovation forward and helps get more of these new technologies out into the market. So some of the ways we share information are through our quarterly newsletter, our annual report, and through webinars like this, where we typically have one of our research partners share the results of a project. And you can actually access past versions of all of these on our website, which I'll have a link to on the last slide. And then in addition to these, our team regularly presents at industry conferences and workshops and even engages directly with our customers. Another way that we share information is through community outreach. And these are just a couple recent examples. At the science camp session on the left, about 25 kids from an ESJ community in Orange County gathered at a local library to learn about different renewable energy technologies. And this science camp was specifically funded through an RD&D project that we have with NREL and UC Irvine that is developing grid-forming inverters for fuel cells. And then we also recently sponsored 10 teams from Title I schools around Los Angeles to participate in the Hydrogen Grand Prix, which is a hydrogen-focused STEM program for junior high and high schoolers. And this all-girls team from Boyle Heights actually made it to the World Finals. So they got to interact with teams from all over the world. And then I just wanted to wrap up quickly with a couple project examples. The first one is a project that we have with UCLA that will be demonstrating a new solar thermal catalytic methane pyrolysis technology, which replaces current steam methane reforming technologies with a zero emission process. In addition to UCLA, the CEC, Santa Monica College, DNV, and Homeboy Industries are all involved with this project. The project costs $1.1 million in total, and of that, SoCalGas RD&D is contributing $350,000. And then in addition to the cost share that we're providing, SoCalGas will also be the host of the demonstration using one of our facilities, which is one of the cool things about our program is that, in addition to funding, we're also able to help find sites for field demonstrations, whether it's one of our own facilities or one of our customers' facilities. And then the second project that I wanted to share is a project that we have with GTI Energy that will be demonstrating a new commercial window retrofit technology, which helps provide energy efficiency improvements without requiring windows to be fully replaced, which can be costly and significantly more invasive. And so this project is also a CEC funded project. SoCalGas RD&D is contributing almost $900,000, and the CEC is about the same. And then there's some remaining funds coming from the other project partners, which includes Northwest Energy Efficiency Alliance, Lawrence Berkeley National Lab, and the Department of Energy. And for this project, one of the things the RD&D team really wanted to see and help lead some of the early discussion around were the equity focus activities. So this project will actually be creating a case study that looks at the potential efficiency and cost saving impacts that this window retrofit technology could have on a specific ESJ community that's located near the demonstration site. And then they will also be looking at workforce development opportunities within that community and others like it. So that's all I have. I just want to thank you all for your attention, and I want to encourage you all to stay connected with us. As I mentioned, you can subscribe to our newsletter and access all of our annual reports and past webinars on our website. LinkedIn is also a really good place to see what we're up to in real time. And then, of course, if you have any questions or you want to brainstorm some project ideas, you can always reach out directly to us through email, and then we'll put you in contact with the right team. So with that, I will now pass things over to Ariana Frame from Southwest Gas.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Ariana Frame, and I am the Program Manager of Research Development Demonstration at Southwest Gas. And I am broadcasting to you today from our headquarters in Las Vegas, Nevada. Southwest Gas serves over 2 million customers across 3 states, California, Arizona, and Nevada. While California makes up about 9% of our customer base, or just over 200,000 customers, we operate across a wide range of landscapes, from the high deserts of Southern California to the alpine regions of Turkey near Lake Tahoe. Our research and development budget is small, reflecting our size compared to the other California utilities. We have a total annual R&D budget of $1.32 million, the majority of which comes from Arizona due to our larger customer base there. Additionally, we allocate $250,000 in our rate cases for both California and Nevada to support gas operations research and technology development. Our R&D department is small but mighty. Currently, it's a one-person team, me. Southwest Gas first became involved in research after discovering pipeline degradation under extreme desert conditions in Arizona. That led to investments in research to assess our pipeline integrity and develop predictive risk modeling, ensuring ongoing safety and reliability. That was over a decade ago. I took over this role about a year ago, and my goal is to grow this department into a more extensive program, one that aligns with the well-established gas R&D programs you've seen in the previous presentations today. Even as a small team, we've built a powerful internal and external network of experts and researchers. This network not only keeps us informed about emerging technologies, but also helps us break down barriers to deploying innovative solutions. When we talk about research, it's critical to keep in mind why we do it. Safety and reliability are at the core of our mission. The beauty of R&D is that it touches so many different aspects of operations, whether it's enhancing operational efficiency, like improving damage prevention or using AI to predict and mitigate risks, whether it's promoting affordability by reviewing supply chains and end user appliances to ensure cost-effective solutions for customers, or exploring the future of energy by closing knowledge gaps around hydrogen blending to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. R&D allows us to stay at the forefront of both today's needs and tomorrow's innovations. As you saw in the previous slide, these efforts directly benefit our customers. But beyond ensuring service, reliability, efficiency, and quality, we've discovered something even more valuable: the power of collaboration. Over the past decade, we've learned that the most effective way to maximize every dollar spent is through relationships, both within our company and across the industry. We actively participate in research consortiums where we have a seat at the table in shaping project proposals, contributing subject matter expertise, and co-funding projects that push our industry forward. These efforts don't just drive innovation, they also help develop our workforce and build expertise that strengthens our company and community. By working with peers, we've uncovered groundbreaking solutions like university-led research on robotic systems for high-risk areas that we wouldn't have found on our own. Through consortiums, we can pool resources with other utilities, ensuring that innovation is both impactful and cost-effective. At the end of the day, we're more than just a gas company. We are part of the communities that we serve. By working together, we ensure that every step we take considers affordability, safety, and environmental sustainability, keeping us on a path towards a better energy future. To dive deeper into how we maximize efficiency, let's talk about our project selection process. We approach research in one of two ways: by identifying internal needs for technology development, safety, and operational improvements, or through research consortiums, where we collaborate on proposed projects. We have found that some of the most effective and efficient research efforts come from our participation in research consortiums. These partnerships give us access to cutting-edge proposals while also providing a seat at the table, allowing us to share ideas, offer subject matter expertise, and ensure accountability and efficiency from start to finish. Beyond ensuring that our research aligns with the ratepayer interests and prioritizes high-risk areas, we also focus on strong internal engagement. Every project we select has dedicated subject matter expert support, ensuring that the real-life experiences and needs of our operators are considered throughout the ideation, execution, and final deliverables. By working within consortiums, we also have access to industry experts and peer utilities, ensuring that our decisions align with stakeholders' best interests. Because we operate in 3 states, we prioritize research that has broad applicability. If a project is valuable in Arizona, it should also provide benefits in California and Nevada. That maximizes efficiency and impact across our service territory. While we do have the flexibility to fund independent studies and community collaborations, like we've done in the past with work in Nevada revitalizing a hydrogen electrolyzer, our primary focus is consortium-based research. We found this approach delivers the greatest value for our smaller budget, ensuring that we get the most out of every dollar spent. The two major consortiums that we work with are NYSERC, a division of the Northeast Gas Association focusing on education, training, technology R&D, operations, planning, and public awareness of natural gas, and OTD, Operations Technology Development, a branch of GTI Energy, which advances energy solutions that enhance reliability, affordability, and sustainability through innovation and collaboration. Though both organizations support research, they operate differently, allowing us to leverage their unique strengths for maximum impact. The next slides will highlight examples of how we've done this. One example of a project we co-funded through GTI OTD is the Mercury Action Limits for Renewable Natural Gas Specifications. With the California biomethane ruling, utilities are required to establish trigger limits for trace constituents in RNG. While gas quality regulations already exist and ensure safety, there is a knowledge gap regarding the trace amounts of mercury, specifically whether these minuscule amounts affect steel piping and equipment at the RNG source, like landfill feedstocks. For California utilities to comply with this mandate, extensive research is required. As a smaller utility, conducting this independent research would have been nearly impossible due to the $1.2 million cost already invested in this project. However, through our GTI partnership, we are able to co-fund this effort, access top-tier researchers and laboratories, and still have funds left over to explore other emerging technologies. Even though this specific research is California-driven, the findings will be valuable nationwide, helping utilities across different states anticipate and address similar challenges before they arise. Another great example of our research investments is in the small diameter plastic inspection system developed in collaboration with NYSERC. The photo on the left shows me and other NYSERC members visiting the Canadian facility where this robotic system is being developed. If you are familiar with smart pigs, or intelligent tools used in large pipeline systems to monitor integrity, this project takes the same concept and applies it to small diameter plastic pipelines. This project ties directly back to the plastic degradation case I mentioned earlier, the very reason that Southwest Gas became involved in research in the first place. Since 2022, we have invested $2 million in this technology, which will enhance pipeline safety and reliability by helping us identify high priority risk areas. Smart Pig technology took over 20 years to develop, and today it is state-of-the-art. This next generation tool has the potential to revolutionize how we monitor smaller pipelines, benefiting not only Southwest Gas, but also our California customers and beyond. At Southwest Gas, we live by a saying, one team, and that applies to everything we do. At the end of the day, we aren't just a gas utility. We are an integral part of the communities we serve. We care about the same things our customers do: environmental sustainability, affordability, quality of life, and safety. Many of us, including myself, are not just natural gas operators, we are also natural gas customers. And that's why I am passionate about building relationships, listening to stakeholders, and ensuring that every dollar we invest is used efficiently to make a real impact. I look forward to growing this program with all of you and continuing to collaborate on the challenges and opportunities ahead. Thank you for your time today. I'll hand it back to Matt.
Thanks, Ariana. Thanks, everybody, for your presentations. A lot of really good information in there. If you'll join me on your webcams, I think we can have a little discussion. We've gotten some questions from the audience that I want to go through. First off, we're getting a few technical questions about the example projects that we shared today. I don't want to get into the technical details of the projects, but I do want to give you all an opportunity to share ways that people who are in the audience or the general public can reach out, connect with the programs to find out more about specific projects and the results.
I'll jump in first. I think the best way, aside from reaching out to us directly if you have a very specific question, is to check out our annual report. Like I mentioned, that annual report is published on the SoCalGas RD&D website. And if you actually go to the back of the annual report, there's a list of 300 something projects with descriptions, with dollars spent, with all of the associated benefits. And so you can really see what we're up to throughout the year and where the dollars are going.
Thanks, Jeff. Anyone else?
Yeah, I would say the same thing. In the handouts, the last page of the PG&E handout has an innovation webpage. You can see everything in there, from all the innovation that PG&E is doing at enterprise level. It has a copy of our reports, our plans, and at any point, if you have any questions, innovation@pge.com is relatively easy, whether it's coming to gas R&D or anything else, electric. It'll get routed to the right group relatively quickly. So that's a great way to be able to contact us.
Great.
Yeah, I'll add for CEC, you can look at our annual reports as well to see some of our project highlights, but you can also check out our funded research final reports, and I'll drop the link in the chat, and you can toggle or filter based on the gas R&D program specifically.
And for us, we're working on putting together our very first annual report next year. So we will be building and learning from our peer utilities. In the meantime, you can contact us directly, and we love sharing and exchanging. So.
Great, excellent. Several of the programs we talked about today are participating in consortiums. And I want to dig into that a little bit. Maybe Ariana and Fran, you can take the lead on this since you all seem the most active, but can we dig a little bit into the mechanics of how a research consortium works? How do you provide funding, and then how is that funding allocated to particular projects?
Sure. Well, the wonderful thing that we love so much about this membership is that we do pay annual dues, but we are able to take those annual dues and apply them directly to the project. So there's a small administrative fee, but the same dues that we put in is the exact same money that's going to be used on the different projects. And what's wonderful is that we meet in person. Some consortiums, it's a couple times a year, other it's quarterly. We meet in person, sit down, and ideate different ideas, challenges that utilities have, discuss different ways that we could solve the problem, talk about deliverables, talk about subject matter experts. It's a wonderful place where you have some of the greatest minds together figuring out research. So the consortiums, a place where this is a dedicated space for that, is completely invaluable to us.
So it sounds like each of the members contributes some funding, you pool that funding together into a large fund, and then the members have some opportunity to allocate funding to specific research projects.
That's absolutely it. And the great thing is that sometimes the proposals come from the research consortiums directly, but many of the times they come out of the utilities. So you might have a project that's being proposed from where the idea came from a certain utility, but then you have 15 other co-funders that are interested in help get to the deliverable. And so for us, a smaller utility, that's super, super beneficial.
Great. And I don't know, for Jeanette or Jeff, you know, what are the additional benefits? You get this sort of leverage ratio, you get to share some ideas. Are there additional benefits of working within a consortium?
I will say the example that I use for that potential platform for mapping, because it included CEC, so they get a chance to also opine, right, on other operators within the state that may not necessarily be part of the groups that are able to participate because they're so small. It gives them some of that feedback. Having folks from across the United States means that when this platform becomes commercialized and available, it won't be like a PG&E or a SoCalGas specific tool. It will meet the needs of the industry, which is going to make the cost of deploying this much cheaper, not just for us, but for all those in the industry. So I think that's a huge benefit that beyond, right, just doing the R&D, but when we're looking at deploying, it can make those costs come down significantly, and it benefits all of our customers. So I think that that's something that we need to keep top of mind as we're looking at some of the different opportunities that are out there, because it doesn't just benefit our community, but I think for us, we talk about healing the planet. It's all of us. It's not just our local communities, but all of us. So I think that's a huge benefit.
Oh, that's very interesting. So it sounds like you get to leverage funding from other utilities from across the country. You get the knowledge of all of the subject matter experts from multiple utilities, and then you also get some economies of scale at the deployment phase, right? You now have a larger number of deployment partners, and that spreads the cost out.
Exactly.
Very interesting. All right. So there are, with the 4 different R&D programs in California, I wanted to talk a little bit about how you all coordinate and collaborate to ensure that we're not duplicating work across the various programs. So what are some of the ways that I think some of them were mentioned in the presentation, but what can we highlight for the audience here for how we're preventing duplicative efforts?
I'll start this out. Communication is key. Like I mentioned, the relationships are completely invaluable. And how do we find out if somebody is already working on something that we just thought of? Well, by exchanging ideas. And one thing that I love about this group, we meet bi-weekly, monthly, and I know there's a bunch of other groups where the different utilities are meeting to make sure that we are in alignment with the challenges and the solutions, and that we're not duplicating effort. I think in the past that may have been a greater concern, but because that's happened in the past, I think in the last, I don't know, probably 6 years, I've noticed so much cleaner communication as far as identifying places where it could be duplicative and tackling that head on.
I would say the collaboration, it's been great as well, because we're able to, depending, I think I mentioned in my presentation, the technology readiness levels, right? So sometimes we are working on a maybe lower TRL where products are maybe still being developed. So you may see multiple iterations of a project because a low level or a mid level may need a lot of feedback, but once we're starting to get towards the higher levels, it may require pilots. And we oftentimes want to make sure if we're doing pilots or demonstrations that it's not only in one location and multiple locations. So making sure that that we're sharing that information. So even though you may hear a project multiple times, it may be at different TRL levels. So it may be building up. So it's not necessarily duplication. And as we get into those higher levels of TRL, I think it makes it easier oftentimes for collaboration if we're doing a demonstration or something where it's easy to invite others to come in and be able to see it. And I think that that's part of also where I've seen that expand quite a bit in the last couple of years, collaboration and communication with all these groups.
Yeah, I'll say this is an important question, and we leverage a lot of different opportunities to stay informed about what kind of research the other gas administrators are spearheading, just to ensure that our efforts are complementary and there's minimal unnecessary overlap. And so some mechanisms in our budget planning and solicitation development phase is briefing utilities on various occasions throughout our process. And that's not only to avoid duplication, but it's also just to ensure that there's a potential partnership there, especially on demonstration, that's going to require access to utility infrastructure. And then we also continue to engage during the project implementation portion. So We often rely on insights from our utility partners to understand implications to the gas system, from storage to distribution. And as you heard in the project highlight that I talked about earlier on well monitoring, PG&E was a project site host, and they were also a participating member of our Technical Advisory Committee, or the TAC. So yeah, updates on these projects are shared, and sometimes questions are posed at TAC meetings, allowing members to offer their insights. And so yeah, there's various venues all the way from initiatives planning to implementation. So yeah.
I'll just throw in my 2 cents there. Ariana mentioned, these TAC meetings. I know I've been in several of them where maybe it leads to a discussion about a completely different topic or project opportunity. And so, like Ariana Frey mentioned, it's all about communication at different stages of the project.
Yeah, so it sounds like there's sort of a linearity that we think about. Jeanette, you kind of mentioned this. Certain programs are working on maybe earlier stage, but then as the technology develops, the projects get larger, then there's a greater opportunity to collaborate. Ariana, I think you pointed out a really interesting collaboration phase where CEC can bring money to the table to help support a project, but needs the participation of the utility, particularly in that well monitoring. The CEC doesn't own or operate any gas storage wells, but PG&E does. So you need that sort of level of collaboration. And then there's also the subject matter expertise, bringing it into the technical advisory committees. And I just want to reiterate, Ariana, tomorrow your team is hosting a workshop on your upcoming research plan, your budget plan, and that's an opportunity for all of us in the gas R&D community to participate, but also for the public, correct?
Exactly. So as I said, the folks in this group and some of our other gas program colleagues, we've talked about these initiatives, and we've made sure that there's no duplication of effort potentially. And tomorrow, like you said, we're bringing it to the public. We're going to be opening up opportunities for discussion about our proposed initiatives, and we're really excited about it. So yeah, if anyone is interested in attending, I believe we've already added the link to the chat. So looking forward to that.
Great. And then we got a lot of questions on the preliminary survey, the registration survey, about how do folks get access to funding? How do they propose projects? How do they propose ideas for research? So can you all share specifically, maybe how do you get your foot in the door if you are a researcher or an entrepreneur out there with a great idea to help California?
The easiest way is to email us. I shared the SoCalGas RD&D email. I think my email might be shared at the end of this presentation, but email us. And then, like Matt mentioned, these public workshops at the CECs is tomorrow. We have an upcoming one. We haven't set the date yet, but join the public workshop. Let us know what you think we should work on, and then we can take the conversation from there. So communicate.
Absolutely. It's amazing how much great research comes from a cold call and a, hey, I have an idea. That's exactly where research comes from. So get in contact.
Yeah, for us, it's innovation at PG&E. That's the easiest way to get a hold of any one of us.
Yeah, and if you're interested in learning more about some of the ongoing funding opportunities from CEC, I'll also drop the link to that. And you can also sign up for a mailing list where you'll be aware of solicitation opportunities as they come through.
All right. Well, we are running out of time. So I just want to, let me put up my final slide so everyone can see. I just want to say thank you to Ariana, Jeanette, Jeff, and Ariana for presenting today's topic, and thank everyone who attended and submitted questions. It was a great conversation. Special thanks to our producer, Heather Gordon, for keeping this train on the tracks. For all our audience members, the recording will be available on our website soon. Be sure to follow our LinkedIn for an update on when the recording is available. You'll be receiving a survey request in your inbox. Please take a moment to fill that out. Your feedback will help us improve our webinars and help us select topics that are of interest to our stakeholders. I'm your host, Matt Grigori. Remember, at SoCalGas RD&D, we strive to identify transformational energy solutions, build them, and share them with the world. Thanks and have a great day.